Are we recording? Nikki, are
We
we are we on
we
here?
are
Are we live?
recording. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a fantastic Insights and Innovation series. We've got a very, very special session today where we're going to be talking to Nova CMO and look at their refresh and what happened when you've got a loved brand like Nova, which is 24 years old. Um, we're going to look at the brand journey and what it means and what it takes to do it. So it's a different lens for one of these, but I think it's going to be highly valuable. Now, to add a bit more flavor to that, I'm going to hand it over to the great Josh Haleys, who is one of my favorite human beings to take over. Josh, over to you, sir.
Jesus, whenever he gives me a rap like that, it often triggers in my mind, what is it that he's going to ask me for when we jump off this call, saying nice things? So the mind boggles. But hey, thank you, Sam, and thank you to everyone who's taken the time to spend a little bit of it with Nova Entertainment. We're going to do something a little bit different today. So, as a senior commercial leader, obviously I'm desperate to use these sessions to try and sell more media. But we have resisted the temptation today, although we do encourage you to buy more of what we have. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. And it's because it's a piece of work that we are exceptionally proud of, and I think one that would hopefully, be of great benefit to share with this group today. To Sam's point, we want to talk to you a little bit about the Nova brand. And I won't be doing most of the talking. Someone far more accomplished than me will be, which I'll introduce in a second. But Nova's 24 years of age, to Sam's point. We launched in 2001, I believe, around August. And I think it's probably fair to say that the brand is reasonably recognisable and hopefully, we believe, fairly loved. And our audiences are in good shape. So more people are consuming the output that Nova is producing than ever before. So it's not broken, brand's in pretty good health, but ultimately as a business, we do want to continue to innovate and to improve, and obviously this series around insights and innovation is sharing some of that work. So you can hopefully see the link there. And there's strong argument to suggest that the opportunity to iterate is while the going is good. And it's a far better platform to do it than arguably if the brand wasn't in particularly good health and required sort of urgent and immediate reparations. So we also sort of like the thought of challenging the status quo a little bit. And we were chatting earlier to Sam and the team around what the typical radio advertisement looks like. I've seen lots of it in my career. I'm sure most of you have too. But chances are, if you saw a radio ad, it may have been 2 or 3 announcers. Maybe they were standing back to back. Maybe they were throwing a whole bunch of cash up in the air. Maybe they were doing something quirky or whatever the case may be. If you're seeing a bus go by with a radio ad on it, chances are that's probably what it looks like. And we are trying to do something, again, vastly different from that and to challenge the norm and the status quo, which we sort of think is a really nice sort of alignment to what the Nova brand stands for. So, we come to you today as a client and as a brand, and one that has, reviewed, refreshed, and then obviously have gone out and have executed a cross-channel media campaign to support that work. And our presenters today are going to talk to you a little bit about that far more eloquently than I could ever. The first is our Chief Growth Officer. So I do refer to him as our CMO because it's probably more widely recognisable, but Adam Johnson is our Chief Growth Officer. So his responsibility is to make sure that everything at Nova Entertainment grows, and he does a phenomenal job at that. We're very, very lucky to have him. He's going to share some of the work that he's done, and then he will be closely followed by the wonderful Tess Murphy. Tess is the Head of Strategy, Customer Marketing, and so Tess is essentially going to share with you guys how she takes Adam's work and takes it to market and shares it with customers like you. So again, thank you so much for the time. We really, really appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed the session. And without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Adam to nervously take you through. How nervous were you when you decided to tinker with the Nova brand, Adam Johnson? I mean, I'm assuming that's a decision that you don't come to lightly.
Oh, it's just like a fireside chat format now, Josh. I like this. Incredibly. Yeah. So thank you for the introduction. Thank you, IMAA, for having us again. I hope you enjoy something a little bit different this time around, which is probably more a lens into your clients' worlds. I mean, suspend disbelief for a moment that this is a media brand that you guys, have the opportunity to buy inventory on. Just think of it as as an Australian I genuinely believe in Australian super brand and an insight into what your marketing clients and colleagues may go through when they're going through a similar thought process. And to answer your question, Josh, not as nervous as I would have been a year before, because we did this last year with Smooth. So Smooth has always had a very rational brand proposition of more music, less talk, and that's still very much at the core of the product proposition. But we elevated that last year with a new Smooth brand campaign, which is all built around this purpose of together in music, and how do we highlight the unifying effect of just great songs. And to your point, Josh, what we didn't do was put radio presenters on the side of a bus with their thumbs up. We made an ad about a UFO that came down from space and decided to we built this city on rock and roll, coming out of every car speaker and household in this little Australian cul-de-sac. So we were emboldened by that, because Smooth is now a number 1 station, either current or in very recent history, in both Sydney and Melbourne, and we're really proud of that, about the role of that brand reposition has played in that. So that gave us the confidence to go, okay, what does this mean for Nova? So I do have some slides, if that answers your question, Josh. Shall I carry on? I'm getting a nod. All right, okay. I might need another thumbs up, Josh, just to confirm that you can you see that? Great. And you're getting the right one, the full screen one, yeah? I never know whether you're seeing the notes one. Brilliant. Okay. All right. So Nova's 2025 brand campaign. A brief history for those who've been around long enough to know that Nova was launched 24 years ago. And we launched with the brand proposition of Sounds Different, and the commercial proposition of never more than 2 ads in a row, which was a brilliant commercial proposition, but a terrible business model. So as you can see, we persevered with that for 9 years until 2010, when that was dropped in favour of profitability. And from that point on, we moved into the Live Life Nova era, with a kind of slightly more illustrated version of Nova Boy, and that stayed with the brand for a long time, and did really well for the brand proposition until 2021, when we moved the brand on to turn up the feel good. And in each of those iterations, you can see there that we have these incredible distinctive brand assets of the word Nova, the color red, and Nova Boy. And for anyone that saw the drone show that we did in Sydney Harbour last year, where we put Nova Boy 100 feet tall in the sky, it was a real kind of moment for me to go, we've got a character here that we need to use more of in terms of what we do, because in the last few years we haven't necessarily done so. So after 2023, we kind of dropped Turn Up the Feel Good, and we ran clean for a bit. And as I said, post Smooth brand relaunch, we took the opportunity to relook at what does Nova stand for, and how does it differentiate itself in the market. The ambition for us that we set ourselves ultimately was to supercharge salience amongst potential Nova audiences to reach 4.2 million Aussies each week. That is kind of, in terms of my KPIs, that is a big one. That's a big one to sit on. So this isn't a rebrand or a brand refresh for just because we were bored. Ultimately, we are the number 1 Metro FM network, and we need to maintain that by keeping the listeners we have and bringing new ones into the fold all the time. So that is our ambition, and that 4.2 million is obviously a key contributor to Nova Entertainment's overall reach of 6.5 million weekly listeners. I guess for this audience, and we'll spend a bit more time on creative, but for this audience, I thought it'd be worth bringing you into the fold of our media strategy. So our connections architecture was built across 2 pillars. One's called salience at scale, and one is win the routine. And they're very deliberate words, because salience at scale is really important. And salience is one of those slightly wanky marketing words, but honestly, it's never more important when one of the ways that your audience is measured is ultimately through a recall methodology. And it's an incredibly highly repeating and very robust sample. But ultimately, our brands have to be front of mind to make sure that people remember what they listen to and when they listen to it. So this notion of kind of mental availability is incredibly, one of our really key tenets, and that's why we use this emotional connection on our audience's most loved platforms to land that Nova message. So we run our Salience to Scale campaigning through out of home, through broadcaster, VOD, YouTube, high impact display, and also on print. And then what sits under this is this heartbeat, this pulse of win the routine, because it's great being salient, but you've got to give people a reason to ultimately to believe, and then to either open the app and listen, or ask their smart speaker to play Nova, or put it on in the car. So this is really about how do we use our first party data and our programmatic capability to land actual content, so literally content that came out of the studios either that day or that day before, and serve those into those routine-based media pit stops to remind people that you might not have heard this amazing link from Ricky Lee, Tim and Joel last night, but make sure you listen tonight on your commute home from 4 p.m. And we recycle content and put it out there across digital out of home, VOD, socials, display at both high impact and standard. So we have this mix of kind of like upper funnel, how do we drive top of mind awareness? And then below this kind of, like I say, this heartbeat, this pulse of how do we make sure that we win the routine when people are thinking about what audio do I want to accompany my workout, my commute, my taking the dog for a walk, whatever their routines are. What is the role of audio within that, and what is the role of Nova? So you'll see there we've got three big bursts of Salience to Scale, with an always on approach to win the routine, with these kind of key spikes around when those surveys are in market. The opportunity for us was to give Nova a distinctive brand position. We wanted to bring back a little bit of Nova's edge. It's always been a challenger brand, but going to my third point in terms of celebrating Nova as a category leader, being a challenger and being a leader at the same time is really hard, because inevitably you lose some of that edge. And I think the opportunity for us is to maintain our position. Our role as the category leader is to grow the audio category, but the way that we do that is to maintain some of our brand's distinctiveness. We need to future-proof the brand for the evolution of audio. People that are coming in having never turned a dial on a radio, on a car radio or a radio set, they've only ever scrolled through an EPG on an app or on their smart TV. How do we make sure that Nova is front of mind and distributed to those people, and then engage and cultivate a younger audience without alienating our core. The insight that sits behind this is that we're overwhelmed as a species. That's how high order this human insight is, about the constant thinking and decision fatigue. And we want Nova to step in and be the antidote to that, offering moments of spontaneous joy and unexpected delight, like hearing your favorite song or running into an old friend. The brand, we feel, now taps into the emotional territory of this feeling of a good surprise, helping listeners escape their inner monologue and reconnect with simple, feel-good entertainment. So the creative concept was built around this notion of the thing that we all have, which is inner monologue, the incessant rambling thoughts in our brains. And the insight there is that overwhelm has become our default. We have to rebel against our own brains to short circuit our own bullshit, to remember what it's like to not think about everything so much. How? By switching on Nova and cancelling out our own rambling inner monologue with good surprises, which lent us to this lovely territory of don't think, just Nova. And both, we believe this kind of cuts through both from a consumer and from a commercial point of view. Live radio is it's one of the last bastions of spontaneity. You genuinely don't know what you're going to get, and it hasn't been decided by an algorithm. You don't know what songs come in next. You don't know what that caller is going to say, what incredible stories they have to bring. And we just want people to go, I kind of need a bit of that. I need a bit of good surprise. And I don't want to have to constantly scroll through algorithmically served options based on what I last listened to or what I last watched. I want somebody else to do the hard work, and that's exactly what we've done. So we'll start with the brand films. We made 6 of these. They're all the same at the start. They then change based on the audio you hear towards the end, and then also the visual that you'll see on on the phone screen. But ultimately, the core is our target audience replicating some of the crazy things we speak about every day, and positioning Nova as the kind of when you get to the "oh fuck it" moment, her going, "I'm just going to listen to Nova and make the stuff go away." So this is our current film that's running across video, display, and socials. Please.
Is this t-shirt too much? No, I look so good today. Is that a coffee stain? Sugar. Milk? Both. Oh! Do oats grow on trees? Search oats. Oat cookie? No cookies. Delete cookies. Close pop-up. Pop. Pop rock? Post-punk pop. Pop. Tune.
You're on Nova. This is Ricky, Lee, Tim and Joel.
You drive home. Have you guys heard about the guy who's been...
So when we talk about distinctive brand assets, you would have heard the Nova sting there. We've got we've taken a bit of a liberty with our logo, and kind of used this kind of stencil approach. But Nova Boy is still very much front and center in his current form, which is kind of this kind of graffiti-esque tag. It's not a radio ad that's got radio presenters in it. This is very much about making the brand relevant, that people can empathize with, and ultimately memorable. And I go back, if I just go back to that kind of the opening frame of the spot. When you think about thumb-stopping content, when you have a human being staring down the lens at you, you kind of want to know what they've got to say. And in a world of skippable media, we shot this and cast this in a way that people get drawn into the message. They start to identify with some of the inner monologue, and then we kind of hit them with a sledgehammer, which is that despite questioning how you even say the word tune, it's like life's too short. Just put Nova on and get on with it. As I mentioned, we kind of obviously we've customized this for every different market we have. So we operate out of 5 different metro markets. So what you saw then was the Drive one, which runs nationally. But here you can see that we have versions for Melbourne at the top there with Jason Lauren, Adelaide top right. We have Fitzy Whip with Kate Ritchie bottom left for Sydney, and then bottom right is Perth, and then we have one for our brand new Brisbane breakfast show as well. So that's out there, and like I say, flying the flag for a brand that really understands your life and where you live. Moving on to out of home, again, we've broken the mold here. We've put these statements out there that these contrasting statements that create some of this mental fatigue. So you only live once, but also play it safe. Don't think just Nova. We've slapped this this massive Nova Boy tag over the top, and genuinely, it doesn't matter if you don't read the whole thing. We obviously want to be very fit for format, but equally we want it to be arresting and have some meaning. So if your key takeout is that the Nova has a point of view on things, and that's a really good starting point for us. Some of our transit workers, don't watch the news, but don't watch trash. Don't sleep in, but get 8 hours. Fake it till you make it, but also be yourself. Like I say, all these contradicting statements that we're fed every day by social media. Don't worry about it. Just put the radio on, and we'll take it from here. Works beautifully in street posters where you can kind of show some of the talent, some of that standalone brand messaging, and then some of these kind of conflicting messages. We've run some contextual out of home. So things like train stations, for example, the kind of the sleep for 9 more minutes, skip the 8:17, catch the 8:37, sprint from the last station, only 7 minutes late, which is on time, isn't it? Don't think just Nova. We're running specific creative in gyms, in offices, talking about, do you remember that person's name? And then like one that I really like, which we're running in retail. So eggs. Oh, and that short fat rice for making risotto, and something for lunches, maybe wraps. Again, how boring. What about tacos? Wait, aren't they just small wraps? Don't think just Nova. And then obviously we're taking over digital media everywhere we can, making sure that we accompany and sequentially target across various IP-enabled media pit stops for us. And then good old print. When you want to win the routine, we still believe in the audience, and running ads like "Be smart but not opinionated" in the newspaper feels like a great place to land that message. And this the mixed media of having the graffiti over the top of the typed word it actually works beautifully in newsprint. So we really like the work we're doing in print as well. And then finally, I'll just race through some of the product work that we're doing. So phase 2 of the campaign is once we've landed this notion of don't think just Nova, we then do put, proudly our talent right at the heart of that. So nationally, we'll run Ricky Lee, Tim and Joel, Don't Think Just Nova, both large and small format. Fitzy Whip with Kate Ritchie, again, large and small format. Jason Lauren in Melbourne, Ash Lutz and Nikki Osborne. If you're based in Brisbane or you listen to it, that is the epitome of Don't Think Just Nova. Nikki Osborne is the kind of talent that we love because you literally never know what she's going to come out with next, which is the beauty of live radio. That's how that looks on street furniture. And then Adelaide, and then finally Perth. So that wraps out how we're taking this out to listeners, both current and future, we hope, with this campaign. As I said, it's pretty different from the category. And I think, as I said, when you're both a category leader and you want to grow the category, but also you want to have that distinctive edge that being the challenger brand for so long has given you, it's a creative and it's a media tightrope to walk, and one that we're really excited to see the results of, because to help Josh and his team, we need to make sure that we are bringing in as much audience as we can, and the way to do that is to be distinctive, we believe. And then slightly close to home, I'm going to hand over to Tess Murphy, who is our head of custom marketing, to show how we've taken this thinking from consumers more into the world and the minds of the people in the media industry and on the buy side of our business. So Tess, I will continue to run slides for you, but over to you.
Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. So we should be actually ahead of time because this should only take about 5 minutes. But like Adam said, we were keen to connect with you to talk about how this campaign will be brought to you, how you'll see it showing up in your everyday, and really what it means to you. So what I loved about this campaign and what I think is really working about it is that the insight that's at the heart of it doesn't just ring true for our listeners. So this endless cycle of overwhelm that Adam was talking about and that daily decision paralysis that it creates is something we see heavily impacting the experiences of our customers as well, so namely you guys. Adam, would you like me to make a next slide, please? Sound? It's always, thank you. Perfect. So we hear from you directly, the ask of you from both sides. So that's both client and media owners. There's more of them than ever, working harder than ever to get time with you. The ask has never been greater. You've got more choice and less clarity than ever before. You've got more pressure and less time, more data, less insights, more stress and less margin for error than ever before. You've got machines that want your jobs. Some of you will probably have direct reports that don't even want their own, and a steady stream of briefs that ask for everything all at once, due close of business yesterday. So all of that is happening against what I think we can all agree is an increasingly furious inundation of thought leadership that invariably says some combination of everything you think you know is wrong. I got divorced on the weekend and here's what it taught me about B2B sales. And my personal favourite, which you can see on the slide there, is any channel other than the one channel I'm selling is dead. So in an industry with a channel death toll this high, we figure you've got enough to worry about. We want working with us to be one less decision that you have to agonise over. So we want partnering with Nova to really be a no-brainer for you. So what does that look like in action? It looks like never having to choose. So when you work with Nova, you'll get a guaranteed partner for performance every time. One who you can count on to deliver scale and precision, ease and excellence, brand and performance, creativity and pragmatism, and importantly, innovation alongside accountability. So it really is the partner where there's no trade-off. The only decision you have to make is to trust us with your brief or anything else that you can see on this non-exhaustive list on the slide, but most importantly, your brief, and then we'll take care of the rest to unlock your performance. So hopefully you will have seen the campaign out in the wild already, but if not, please keep an eye out for us. We were live on B&T last week during Cairns Crocodiles. I think many of you were in attendance. This creative that you can see here was really about capturing the current top LinkedIn battles being waged in comment sections everywhere. So whether it's bet it all on brand or pour it into performance, live by the Bible of Byron Sharp or the gospel according to Mark Ritson. Interestingly, those guys rarely disagree, but the writers of this season on LinkedIn were clearly running out of material, so decided to pit two fan favourites against each other, which has proven really spicy. And these are all questions that really you're expected to have a black and white answer for, which you're able to defend to the death in the comment section while also holding down a job and, God forbid, parenting, because if you have a toddler like me, these are the same kind of questions you get every day. But because we love a little drama, we will also be live on LinkedIn contributing to the conversation. So trying to get an answer to the unending question around which word starting with C is currently king. So the only one we know for sure is Charles, and even then we don't know for how long. And of course, you'll see us in real life. As I said, we were up in Cairns, the endless battle, in Cairns last week putting on Nova's Cocktail Club. Thank you to all of you who joined us. In an effort to give our attendees one less decision to make, we had the option, we offered them the option of just saying, don't think just Nova at the bar. And the 18-year-old bartender who likely just got their RSA was able to choose their drink for them. So I think that nailed a few people as was intended. So hopefully everyone's recovered and no more sore heads. And we've got some lovely images of some of you there in all your glory, hoping you all had a great night. It was reported back that it was awesome. So hoping that's the case. And lastly, where you can expect to see this campaign and more importantly, the promise behind it to show up most heavily is in your inbox and in the one-to-one experiences you're having with your Nova reps. So we're really committed to making your life easier in a myriad of ways. Some of them will be fun and lighthearted, and some of them are on the more serious side, which is by being your guaranteed partner for performance and getting you the outcomes you need for your clients. So that's all from me. Don't think just Nova.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tess. Thank you very much, Adam. I think just sort of in summary of that, the partnership that we have via the IMAA with our independent agency partners is just so incredibly valued. And I think one of the things that Adam spoke about was trying to be a category leader and also a challenger brand. And I think hopefully you observe that of us commercially. We want to be a leader in terms of the solutions we put forward, the creativity, the commitment to delivering outcomes and measurable ROI and so on. But we never, ever want to lose that thought of we are challengers. We are working harder than everyone else. We don't take it for granted. And then ultimately we see ourselves as a little bit of an underdog in a partner, albeit one with a very, very substantial audience and hopefully a good track record of delivering you guys great campaigns, great ideas, great results. So again, on behalf of the team here at Nova Entertainment, we thank everyone for your time today. And we're going to give you back a little chunk of it so you can well, hopefully not think and just Nova over the next, if not 28 minutes, certainly from here on in. But again, thanks for the time. Thanks, Sam, to you and the team at the IMAA for having us. We appreciate you guys as always, and we hope everyone has a great week.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Tess. That was great. You guys remind me of an indie as well. You're not the underdog, but you're agile. You're smart. You're a little bit unconventional. You're edgy, but you get it done. And you're a powerhouse. So I love it. Thank you, members, for tuning in. Just a little reminder, Pitchella is open for another 24 until the end of today. Please, if you have any blockers or anything stopping you, give myself or one of the team a call. We'll get it answered. Bunch of things coming up, so just watch out for your inbox for group deals, leadership presentations, invitations to audio, and for outdoor bites. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Nova, for your support of the independent sector. You're wonderful partners. I love you all. Thank you very much, guys. Talk soon.